I really do believe in Jesus. And I just walked out, and then I started walking quicker because I was just like, what has happened to me? I mean, what has happened? I felt like it's like just new. And I remember getting to the library doors, the outside doors, and I opened them up, and there was a girl coming in who was in the same dorm, and I didn't know this, but a whole group of people had been praying for me since when I first moved into the dorm, like several months prior. Been praying for me. She was one of the girls. When I opened up the door, she goes, Paul, what's happened to you? And then I got scared. I got real scared. I was like, I don't know. And I just took off running, and I ran as fast as I could back to the apartment, and I found that guy. And I said, Mike, I'm really scared. Something happened to me in the library. All I know is I believe in Jesus, and I'm new. He said, you look new. And so he took me down to the guy who was like the RA who had been leading a Bible study named Mike Martin. And I sat, and all these guys, Mike Martin and Stuart DePina and Mike Moore and all these different guys that had been studying the Bible together and were kind of leaders, you could say, of different, like Campus Crusade and things. I sat down and I started telling them everything that happened. I'll never forget one of them goes, you've been born again. And then I was like, what's that, you know? And then here's something. I had the filthiest mouth, and it stopped. It just stopped. But I'll tell you what didn't stop. Lying. And after the joy of that day, I began to think about I had lied to people. And then, so many things in my life changed, but then I would be talking and something would just pop out that wasn't true. And before, it didn't bother me. I was proud of my lying. You know, I could make anybody believe anything. And I would be so struck down by the Holy Spirit and so ashamed that I would have to go back and say, I lied. I lied. And it went on. It's amazing. Some things, drinking and cussing and everything, just stopped. But other things were like this thing that constantly broke me. And the Lord then gave me victory over it. But it was, and now it's like one exaggeration. My wife says that I speak in superlative. She says everything is the greatest to you. Everything is the biggest to you. And that's true, but even in that sometimes the Lord just gets me. So that's why when some of you guys get real fired up for the Lord and you see someone else that maybe comes into your circles and it seems like God's done a work, but in one area of his life he's really struggling for change, don't discount him or think he's unconverted. Sometimes the Lord will remove so many things, but other things we just deal with, throughout our life. And then so the next day, the study group that was there got together and they bought me a big old Ryrie study Bible. New American Standard Ryrie study Bible. And I carry that thing to class. People literally, I remember my second day as a Christian. I'm walking back through the student mall there, and I hear a bunch of people are over here, and I go over there looking. There's this guy talking, and I thought, was he preaching? I read, man, this guy isn't preaching. And he was teaching on, just sharing about why sex is good, marriage is just an artificial institution, and promoting just wickedness. And I'll never forget, all of a sudden, I just got so, and I just went through the crowd, and I just, you're lying. You're a liar. That's not true. So that was the beginning of my street preaching. My ministry was defined. But another thing that was, when I was a boy, 14, 15, I would have dreams all the time. well, not all the time, but frequently, I would have dreams of me preaching. And I would wake up crying and telling God, I'll get saved if you promise me I don't have to preach. And so when I became a Christian, I also knew, basically, that I was going to preach. And I started going out, like at the student mall there, and handing out tracts and everything. And it was a real change for me, because it went from kind of being a cool guy with a really nice car to, people taking your tracts, girls, and laughing at you and throwing them back at you. And it was a time of just killing the flesh, killing it. But God has been faithful. God's been faithful.